Turn on our audio. We are live, and here we go. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to the Improv U show. Yes, and you. I'm your host, Anthony Francis, and I am here with the amazing, wonderful Mr. Nick Armstrong. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Anthony.
Thanks for coming on. Nick is super calm, cool, and collected. I am just like a ball of nerves today. I'm all over the place. But I'm really glad you could make some time to come on and just kind of talk for a little bit. This is just a show where we're going to talk about improv, what we do. We're not doing any improv. I reserve that for special occasions. Zoom improv is a special occasion kind of a thing. So you run a comedy theater. You and as I understand it, maybe five other people run a comedy theater out of L.A.
Oh, the West Side Comedy Theater.
Mm-hmm.
I do not own the West Side Comedy Theater. I was the artistic director there for 3 years. I know the owners through IO friendships we've had. I played on teams with them, and the Mission Improbable, if you've ever heard of that
Mm-hmm.
company,
Yeah,
they own West Side Comedy.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So what? I know you were doing the Improv Utopia retreats.
hmm
How did that get started? What got you to kind of want, or tell everyone kind of what that's about and how you got started with that?
Well, Improv Utopia is a improv retreat for adults, an overnight camp for adults where we have master teachers from all over the world come and teach you for the weekend in an intensive kind of way. And then you can do like axe throwing, archery, canoeing, it's
Ooh.
everything a summer camp is. And then we have one in Ireland as well now. And so we do about 4 camps a year, one in Yosemite, Cambria, which is the central coast of California, Pennsylvania and the Poconos, and then one in Ireland. And basically how it started is, I mean, based in LA, I'm based in California, but I grew up in Northern California. So I was a Boy Scout and did a lot of the Yosemite, Sierra Nevadas, like a ton of this things there. And always noticed what a supportive group summer camp is. And like when I got into improv, I was like, oh, this feels like being at summer camp all the time with people I like. And, so I Googled rent a summer camp, and the first one that popped up was our original one in Cambria, which we just celebrated 10 years this year. But like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, we celebrated it online, I should say.
Yep.
But we're going to celebrate that next year. But like, so I got some of my friends I was on an improv team with that was directed by Craig Kukowski at the time, and kind of got the support and rented this camp, and the rest is kind of history. We just grew from there organically over time. More people came, and from all over. The idea was to have a central location that wasn't a theater, but helped all theaters. So that was kind of the idea, and festivals behind that. Yeah,
I
that's camp.
feel that feels like kind of what we were talking about before the show. That's kind of what I feel like. My kind of calling is to not be a theater, but be a place that helps all theaters. I think that's kind of what I like. But what is your kind of what's your improv niche, or what's your kind of go to for improv? What do you like the most?
I mean, if I'm playing an improv, I love physicality and character. That's kind of like my go-to, just because I don't have to remember any sort of story or plot or solve any puzzles. I just get to go up and have fun and be that person, and we all get to see how we deal with each other,
Nice.
like in a human interaction way. So yeah, physicality and definitely character are my two kind of strongest things that I like to do and teach.
So you would say you lean more towards long form, maybe over short form, or do you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love short form, and I've done a ton of it in the past. But there's something about long form for me as an actor that there's more fulfillment in kind of completing the journey of a character, and having that kind of like camaraderie with your troop mates to get through that together is kind of really fulfilling. Especially like I do a lot of genre work too, like genre style improv, and that's way fulfilling to do like a one act made up play. Short form fulfills me in another way, like instant gratification. Like
Right.
instant laughs. It's fun. For me, it's a lot easier because you get all the rules and confinements of what you need to do. So but I do tend to lean towards long form.
Now, I saw in one of the pictures as I was perusing your Facebook photos, doing a deep dive, looking for that perfect. No, I didn't go. I didn't go, but I didn't even scroll down. I was like, "That's the one." Um, but there's one where it looks like you're singing. I don't know. Do you do any musical improv too? You do, right?
You know what, Anthony? I know my limits in
All right.
improv. I think people should know their limits. Musical, I can sing in an improv scene if I need to.
Sure.
Is not one of my strong suits. I admire people that can do that. I admire I played an opening night, the improvised musical, which is one of my favorite musicals ever, and I think I probably bombed, like because they're so good. I was just like a lost puppy on stage the entire time.
I've only met 3 improvisers that do musical improv that are singers that goosebumps, like, give me chills singing. So I mean, everyone else is like fine, I'm not saying they're not, and they're not bad, they're good, but there's only been 3 where I'm like, oh my god, like that takes me, that's huge. Like, you're a singer doing this, so I think it's fine. You don't have to be a singer
No,
to do musical improv, which is
no, you
unfortunate. So
don't.
many people don't do musical improv because they think they have to know how to sing. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I don't know how to sing well, but also like I don't know. It's not my strong suit, and like I love watching it. I guess there's some
Yeah.
things I still want to be surprised about in improv and love to like not know the behind the scenes of it. And I think musical improv for me is that. Like just being able to still be wowed by it. I saw this group come to one of my festivals out here in LA that they do an opera improv, and talk about singers, they could all sing. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like truly opera. It was pretty fantastic to watch them. It was really cool.
So you put on, you've got the festival, you've got the camps. We do a festival here. My wife and I, Marissa, we do the Palm Beach Improv Festival.
Hmm.
You know, we have our uh, we have our challenges with that. What is, I guess, what kind of brought you to want to create your own festival?
Well, I'd been going to so many of them, and I love the feeling and experience of them that I wanted to kind of give that experience in my neck of the woods because I was running the West Side Comedy Festival, and I don't know, I'm not attached to it anymore, but like Carla Kakowski is in charge of West Side Comedy Theater now. But I kind of wanted to give that experience because there was nothing really in LA that was going on like that anymore. There was no festivals. I mean, they brought the Del Close Marathon out here, but it was pretty much a disaster, I think. And
Oh, really?
no one was really invited. There wasn't. They just invited their own whoever they wanted. So like, you didn't know how to get involved in that, or so I
Yeah.
wanted to do something that was for everybody. And also Santa Monica, where our theater is such a beautiful area, the beach, it kind of had all the elements that I saw, so I pulled it together, and we had 3 good years so far of it. And I think obviously this year they're bowing it out, but it'll probably come back in the near future.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's we're doing a virtual festival this year. Submissions are open, by the way, everybody.
There you go.
Yeah, we're doing that, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's such a weird time, but if anyone is going to adapt to this change, I think we will. Um,
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
uh,
For sure.
you go, especially with teaching. So, have you been doing a lot of online teaching, and how's that experience been?
You know what? It's actually been very positive. I own Voodoo Comedy in Denver now. That's kind of one of my main gigs, and we started a festival there that was going to be this summer, was going to be the first year, but we're postponing it to next year. But like, I think we're been doing the online classes, and obviously that's a scary thing. Like, I've done that before. It's not like I haven't taught online or coached people and stuff, but like seeing if people would want to pay for an experience like that or do that, and people have. And honestly, teaching it has been fun and actually very rewarding. And still, I will say it's not as rewarding as being in there in the room and gauging people and how their body language is. There's a lot of that element that is taken away from it, but in order to survive right now and do that, I think it really works well. And like, I've been teaching sketch and improv, and I've had great experiences. And we've done feedback with our communities, and everybody seems to really enjoy it. I haven't heard any bad things about it yet. The only bad thing I say I will hear is like, "This is great for now, but we want
Yeah.
to get back to the stage."
Yeah.
But they love that they have this option, you know. So yeah, it's been going well.
That's great. Yeah, that's how I felt too. The first for the first 2 weeks, I just sat. I just didn't do anything improv related. I didn't teach. I didn't do anything. And then we did our first Monday night drop in. We do a Monday night drop in. I've been doing a Monday night drop in every night for 5 years. And I said, let's do the Monday night drop, the Monday night login. So we did the Monday night login, and I came out of my room and I was like, I feel so good. Like
Yeah,
it really, really felt good to teach. And you're right, it isn't. It's one hand tied behind your back. It is not easy. You can't do half the things, and then with the drop in, you don't know how many students you're going to have. So with it,
exactly.
with 10 students, you can do some scene work, but with 20 people, it's not happening.
You don't know.
Yeah.
But you're right, Anthony. It does make me feel happy. And I was talking to Arenthia, I don't know, from North Carolina today, and
Hmm.
we were talking about like, it's such a great feeling. But for me, and I don't know if this is you, like that great feeling drops off after like an hour rather than sustaining me for a day or two.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I was like, I getting off stage and then having a drink with everybody afterwards and talking shop with students, and like that experience. I wish I could mimic online, because that's what it's so about, is like you learn in the class, but then you talk afterwards, the chats that have to happen afterwards and the friendships and stuff. That's kind of the element we can't mimic. So like those that used to last me a little bit longer bandwidth.
Yeah.
But I will say that the online does work, and it does make me feel better after. Like I come out of it going like, oh, that was a fun experience.
Yeah, I feel that. I think that's why we're here. That's why we do it. I mean, for a while, it was for me. It was like you trying to run a theater. We were doing that, but then I was like, I really want to get back to why I got into this, which is make friends, have good times, and that's really what's unfortunate about all this. Is I was just about to do that, and then we just got quarantined, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
but now we get to kind of do that now with online stuff. And actually, I don't think I would have done this if I wasn't forced to do this. And now I'm really glad I'm doing it, because I get a chance to meet you and really get a chance to sit down and talk to you, and reach out to all these people that I've been meaning to. I thought I'd travel and go see you, which was the plan, but now we're here. But this is good. I'm happy about
This
this.
is Yeah, it honestly is really cool, because I'm seeing a lot more people on a regular basis than I would normally see, especially in other towns, so that's been really nice. That's been really cool.
And Justin and Kelly have been
Yeah.
very influential with me for this too. They are the ones who really started the Zoom Hangouts, and I was like, this is great to get to meet everybody, meet other people. Really fun.
Yeah, those two are a gem. I love those two people. They're really cool.
So, when it comes to teaching, what is your, what is your philosophy? If you could maybe boil it down, in less than an hour, what, what is your philosophy when it comes to teaching?
At the base of it, I will say that it's my job and philosophy, I guess, to look at an improviser as a person and show them what their superpower is. Take it out of them, put it in front of them, and say, this is what you're really good at. And then give it back to them and see if they could run with it. Not giving them my superpower or telling them how I do improv, because I'm different than the person that plays very heady,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm different. I'm physical, emotional, and character driven. That's not everybody. So it's trying to find what they're really strong at and giving it to them. And that's something that Craig Kukowski, my mentor, gave to me, like, in a sense. And he says that, like, I always mention this in my classes, like Craig said, I'm Professor X and you're all the X-Men. And you have powers, and I'm going to have to show you how to use them and control them. But I'm not going to give you my power. I'm just going to help you find yours and hone it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the metaphor of what I do, is trying to get that person confident in their power.
That's great. Yeah, that's such a great way to look at it. What would you say to the idea that I think we share similar respects of that. What is your, let's say you've got a brand new student, I don't know how to do improv. What is like what's the first tip you would give them? What's something you would say to them to help them get started?
If a brand new student comes into class,
Yeah,
or yeah,
they've never
I
done it
would,
before. Yeah,
yeah, first of all, if they've never done it, I say get in an improv class and it'll demystify you immediately, because there's so much fear about just doing it. And just like, if you get in there, you'll see what I mean. Like, it's hard to explain to somebody like it's going to be okay. Like, my camps are that way too. If someone's like coming to a summer camp, they're like pale faced and scared. But then after the first couple hours, like, this is the best, So like, just getting someone, I would say, just go to the class. Trust me, just give me one class and I'll show you what I mean. And I can I can definitely do that. If someone's in the class, you're a brand new improviser, I would just say the only thing you have to do is listen and react. Don't worry about anything else. Like, don't worry about being funny. Like, just try to take that stress off of them. Because I know, as when I started and when I get into acting situations, there's a lot of fear. And I'm trying to squash their fear into what actually reality it is. It's like, you don't have to be funny. You don't have to do that. Like, because there's so much pressure, So if you could try to take that pressure down a bit, I think you can get them open-minded and in it.
yeah. I love the that you don't have to be funny is something that, yeah, we're always saying, and I think you're right. 90% of it is trying to calm people down, quell the fear, and say, look, it's really it just seems complicated.
Yeah.
Minutes to learn, a lifetime to master. It's pretty straightforward. Listen and respond, but at the same time, that's terrifying for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. And just to know that they're enough, meaning that they're funny in their own way. They don't need to be funny like this person or that person. That you're funny as you're the funny person in your office. And why are you that? Well, that because you have a funny sense of humor, and just relying on you and not having to pretend to be other people
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. You're enough is something we say a lot, and you're your own context too. Is I think such
Yeah.
a great point, because it's like, someone might play the exact same character, but you're going to bring something different to the table simply because you are this perfect original piece.
Yep.
Just by the way you walk and talk and think and act, that's all you. No one else can be you. Even if you had a twin, they wouldn't be exactly you, and that's such a great thing to bring in.
And that takes pressure off them, because all they have to do is be themselves, and like realize, they just have to realize that that's unique enough to like make things different,
Yeah.
Again, don't watch someone and then just copy kind of that thing. You want to just be yourself and have your opinions and have your things at first, that is kind of, relying on that.
So you were with the Groundlings,
Yeah.
and that, as I understand it, is a major. So maybe you can debunk or confirm some myths for someone like myself. As I understand, the Groundlings is a place where SNL pulls a large majority of their cast. Is that true?
There's definitely a lot of writers and performers there. Like, currently, Heidi Gardner, who was in Sunday Company with me, is on SNL. She got pulled from Groundlings recently. That's
Mm-hmm.
a more recent one. But I would say UCB and is also, over the past 5 years, has been a big pull for SNL. But Groundlings, you definitely see Groundlings and UCB and Second City still being kind of those places where they look for writers and performers, for sure.
And what was your experience at the Groundlings? How was that for you?
Honestly, it was. I always say this, it's true. It was the happiest and worst time of my life.
Oh,
Like, like,
yeah.
because it's not like your improv and my improv, where it's long form. We show up, we have a drink, we have a bad show, we walk it off. In the Groundlings, you have a bad show, you can get kicked out of the company. You could get,
Wow.
you're always auditioning. It's very competitive.
Hmm.
So you got the core classes, you go there, and if you pass through those, you get into their writing program, which is also a 5-year process. You're waiting a year in between classes and stuff. And
You're
then
waiting a year between classes.
well, for the core classes, no, the first 3, you can kind of zoom through those faster. But then when you get it to the upper levels, which is advanced writing lab and advanced writing lab before Sunday Company, which is like their main company that does their shows every week, I'm waiting on the wait list for a year to get into the class. So then I get into it and I pass that level, and then I'm waiting a year to 2 years to get into advanced because there's such a long wait list and there's only one theater, so they don't limited space. I've heard lately, before all this, they were getting through that a lot faster. So I was in Sunday Company probably 5 years ago at this point, but it's tough and it's challenging, and it's a different experience than what probably most of our listeners are used to, because you're constantly auditioning. There's 30 artistic directors because it's their main company, so you're always getting voted on like a reality show. So you do your show, your class show, and you have main company members there going, I want this person to advance, I want this person to fail.
Wow. Okay,
And
yeah.
if you don't pass, you're just out of the company. You don't get to perform there. You're just done. If you do pass, you get to the Sunday Company. Even you have to do a couple rounds of that before you can even be considered to be a teacher or perform there regularly. So like, there's a lot of strict requirements, and it's probably the toughest, in a good way, the toughest thing I've ever done. Like, as far as like the commitment and the heightened intensity of it. It's like being on Saturday Night Live. Honestly, when you're in the Sunday Company, it is like being on SNL.
Were you oh, I have so many questions now. Were you first, before I forget this, um, were you able to put aside that pressure and then let go and perform?
No,
Okay.
it's very hard because someone's always watching you, and that's tough because that every time you're on stage, which it makes you compete with yourself in an odd way. You're competing with other people, and these are your friends.
Yeah.
But I compete with myself because kind of how it works is if I got a sketch a sketch or two in at the Sunday show, I would be fine. But if I brought that sketch back next week, even though it's freaking hilarious and a crowd pleaser, that main company's going, oh, he didn't write anything better this next week. He still had to use that same sketch from last week. So like, you're sitting there going like, I wrote this killer sketch, and it's even killing the next week you do it, but
Yeah.
they're looking at it as, oh, he couldn't top himself. So you have to you're competing with yourself constantly to make yourself better. And that, in a way, is a lot of pressure, but it's also a lot of good. But it does prepare you, honestly, for the business. And I would only say take the groundlings if you're going to pursue this as a business.
What do you mean pursue this as a business? What?
Like being an actor in comedy or trying to be on SNL or do writing. It's like, if you're looking to do this professionally, that's when you go to the groundlings, because I don't think it's a place for like hang out at the bar and like talk about improv and like, it doesn't have that vibe to it.
Do
It's a great organization, I will say that. Like, I have learned a ton. I taught there. There's wonderful people there, but that's how they do it, and that's how they've done it for years.
and that's the next thing I want to ask is, do you think that the ends justify the means? Because I, from my point of view, they have a product, an end product that they have to maintain the quality of, and so the filters that they have to put on to make sure that that end product is always the quality, the level that they want it to be at. They have to do that. Do you think the ends justify the means in that way?
Yeah, 100%. Because again, you get picked for SNL. I auditioned for SNL because of it. Like, you have SNL watching you. Like, there's no other improv theater that I could say on a regular basis has that. There's definitely agents and things that come to all LA theaters, but like, not at that high level, because they have done such a great job of being so strict and so selective that they have a reputation of like, I know this is going to be the best talent in this time frame that LA has right now. And it's true, Anthony, because like, riding with some of these people when I was in the group, these people are so talented. I've never worked with a group that I was like, oh, they're there, they're on time, they're never late, they're hustling. Like, you never had the excuse of I'm sick today, so I can't make it. It was like, you have to be there, and they were always there. And like, you just don't, I've never had that experience before or after where people are just on it. And I've gotten a lot of opportunities through the groundlings work as an actor and things like that, and as a writer. It's made me, that's another thing, it's made me a really good writer, a rewriter, a writer. Reps. I wrote probably 400 sketches in my time in the Groundlings, and maybe 40 of 50 of them got on stage in the year and a half or so.
Wow.
So like, think about that. That's like
Yeah.
10%.
But what a great, like, man, you really sharpened your teeth
Yeah.
in there. That's great. When I do voiceover work sometimes. Every time I finish an audiobook, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. The amount of work.
That's tough. That's
And
a
then
lot.
like 3 months go by, I'm like, one of those audiobooks. But I did an audiobooks 4.5 hours long, which was 8 hours, and then edited down. It was just like, but yeah, you come out of that and you're like, you're a different person.
You are. It changes you. It definitely changed my outlook on improv, sketch, and like just the business, because it was so competitive, and it was really stressful for a long time. Like, honestly, like, you don't, but that's the business. Like, I do TV, I do like, that's the business. It is pretty stressful because unless you're a huge star, no one's catering to you. You're trying to just do your job right and do it well so you get invited back.
Yeah, yeah. And as I understand it, even the big stars are like, okay, well, that movie's over. Where's the next movie? Where's
Well,
the next?
100%.
Yeah,
And there's still, I have friends that are celebrities, if you will, but like, right in they're not like Tom Cruise or anything who can do whatever they want.
right.
But they're also like, well, my TV show 4 years was a great run, but now I got to sustain that lifestyle. I got to sustain, like, I might not have this ever again. So they're still hustling
Yeah,
to do it. I'll go to the audition room and go like, I'm going up against that person. That's not fair. Like, that's like like, come on. I would pick that person. Like, I'd be like, I would sit there and go like, well, I'm not getting this part. It's the principal from whatever, like Saved by the Bell. They're all still hustling. Like, everybody. That's the thing you always have to remember. Like, no matter if you even get your dream, you still may have to hustle after it. And it doesn't mean just because you attained your dream doesn't mean you can't give up the hustle. It just doesn't happen.
Wow, that is some real heavy stuff in a great way. So, oh man, be careful if you achieve your dream. The worst thing that can happen, right? No, or the best thing. That's true.
But it's so true. But like, if you just know that, you'll be fine. Like, my dream was to maybe to have camp and to do these things and make a living doing what I do. But now I'm hustling even more than ever because my theater's closed. Like, you never know what's going to happen, but something in the world is going to go, you know what? You don't got it. Not yet. You've got to fight for it still. And that's the artist, though. That's always been the artist.
Yeah.
We're always fighters. And that's why when you said earlier, Anthony, we're always going to get through this and figure it out because we know how to live that lifestyle.
And things are so unpredictable. I mean, I remember problems I was struggling with before. It would have been hilarious. It would have been absolutely hilarious for, future me to pop out of a time vortex and be like, hey, there's not even going to be people meeting up in real life in a week, so don't worry about it. I'd be like, what are you talking about? That's not going to be a problem. That's not the problem. This is the problem. It's like, no. People aren't going to be around anymore. Like, you're going to have to deal with that. You're like, what are you talking about? It's so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So I have a question. This is a personal question for me. So, sure. And if your answer is just take my class, then I will. I'll sign up. I should.
Take my class.
I will. Great. All right. It's done. Great. I won't even ask the question. I'll save it for class. But so one thing that's really bothering me personally is I think I do well on stage. I do well with improv. I enjoy it. But I really want to have those canned sketches. I want to have some material that I know works. And I'm not looking for the same material, but I'm saying, like, I'd love to be able to take this thing that I can do. I feel like I've got this ball of energy over here, and then over here I have a battery, and I don't know how to get this energy into this battery. Like, I don't know how to make how to take that improv, like what the process is. I don't know what my personal process is for taking my improvisation and turning it into scripted material. Mm-hmm. And I know others around me would be like, you absolutely know how to do that. I'm like, yeah, maybe I kind of do, but I also really kind of don't. You ever hear that before?
I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, it's Second City's model. Yes. It's Second City's model, that's what they do is take improv and turning it into sketch.
Right, right.
And I've done that style as well. It's you could do an improv scene, and the funny thing might be the character or the idea, but then you look at this one little nugget and like go, oh, that was funny,
Hmm.
and then taking that one little nugget and making it the premise for a sketch.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I've written
like
some. I've just never tested them
you
against
have to
anything. But yeah,
record your shows, and like watch it. Yeah, but like
yeah.
I mean, it's always tough, and like again, that might not. You never know where that leads you, or it might not lead you. But like I've definitely taken classes in the Second City vein, which is like Groundlings isn't like that, where it's improv into sketch because it's all character driven. So you're looking for characters and things of that nature. But Second City's models more of that realm for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, the game of
You're
the
there.
character.
Oh yeah.
I'm here. I know we're having a little bit of a hiccup. That might be on my end.
Oh yeah.
I'm,
That's okay. I just want to make sure.
yeah. Um, yeah. The yes, yes. To answer your question, yes, I do. I do record a lot of my sets, and I think that you're right. You can take those premises and just kind of flesh them out and do that.
Yeah.
So that's a good answer then for me because that's kind of where I go. Is that the right way to go with it? Is that the right direction to maybe for someone like myself who does a lot of improv, likes doing improv, is pretty good at it. I'd like to take that and bring my characters. But what if I'm not on stage? What if it's not a performance? What if I'm just home by myself? Do you have like and I'm an improviser? Do you have like a just solo scenes and capture those as well?
Well, I what I do is I scour the internet for characters. Like like one of my secret weapons during the Groundlings was watching old cable access TV shows.
Ooh.
It's because there's just a ton of characters there, just like observing people that are around me. So like I do more observational humor of like that's how I look at people, and then I go, well, that's interesting. Like I was in Philadelphia once for a gig, and I went to go see the Independence Hall, and the this guy was such a wild character. The park ranger there was such a wild character. It's like I have to play this guy. Like what's his deal? And so I start answering those questions myself, and that's how I write the sketch
Okay.
based on what I think this guy's life is like, based on how he's presenting himself. So then I just flesh out a 3-beat sketch based on this guy, and I put him in a scenario to where that can heighten. So like it's just kind of like I start with the character, and then the premise and stuff comes after. The scenario that I put him in is what heightens his character.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
So that's kind of how I go about it. Just looking at people, how they act, how their behavior is. Yeah.
When you write, when you do that, when you see that, for me, whenever I know I'm on the right track, is I get this fun feeling, that shiny feeling that, I'm chasing the game. I feel like, oh, like this is fun to do.
Yep.
I feel that this is fun. It's not stressful, and all the thoughts kind of drain, all the doubt goes away, and all of a sudden the purpose is clear, and I can do it because it's fun. Is that kind of how you feel about it?
Yeah. That's a sweet spot, I call it. It's like not every sketch is that way, and you'll have sketches that aren't that way that are still successful, oddly enough, but like that sweet spot's nice. And as a writer, when something hits you, you have to write it, because that is something telling you. You're like in improv, we say it's our gut feeling, so that's what pushes me into the scene. Or does that for a writer? That feeling that you're feeling means that it's clicking with you, it feels right. That means you have to pursue it, and it might be successful and it might not, but you have to pursue it. You have to get yourself in the behavior of pursuing that feeling and pursuing the way that you write, because you'll learn from that for sure. But that's a good place to be, and that's when you get that flow going and you're just like energetic and you have that idea and it's fitting and you feel like it, and it's that's a sweet spot. That's a good feeling.
Nice. What would you say is a good workout routine for the writer? Like, would you say like write 4 sketches a day or something like that? Do you have any kind of like other than join the Groundlings and get chewed up?
Yeah, get chewed up and spit out. No, honestly, a writer writes. I know that's as cliche as it is, but like that's what you have to do because the more you write, the more you find your voice and
Hmm.
how you like to talk about things, and you find your style. But you're not going to get that for writing like one sketch a week or once. You got to do as much as you can. Like I know people have jobs and things like that, but like even if you're just writing a short story or like something, you're still finding your voice in those stories. You're still finding your voice in a song that you may write or like it still has to do with your voice. And that's what makes you unique as a writer, because like we are talking about improv, what makes you unique as a performer is the same kind of deal. What makes you unique as a writer is how you think about things, how you feel about things, and what you're trying to say. And that's something I can't teach you. That's something I could show you. Oh, by the way, Anthony, you're doing this and you do this a lot. Did you know that? And
Mm.
you're like, no, I didn't. That's interesting. I am. Like, and that is how I feel. Like, like you just didn't know you were writing it. Because our subconscious does a lot of funny things. And sometimes, especially when we're writing, you don't necessarily notice that sometimes. So yeah,
Nice. Um, do
but I
you?
wouldn't say a number on it. I don't know if like 4 times a day seems like a lot. But like 2 or 3 times a week, write a monologue, even a character monologue, something. Just like you got to keep in that momentum, because if you don't, you'll lose the discipline.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's great advice. Especially now. I think now is the time we all have plenty of time to reflect, and write and grow
Hmm.
content or whatever it is, and that's something that I'm currently doing now. I'm writing some sketches. Some premises are the first realtor ever,
Ever.
ever. He's a caveman named Tor.
Oh,
But
nice.
I won't bore you with that. But
It's sounds like a good premise
It's
already.
it's a
I
good,
like
yeah.
it.
He comes out. His name is Tor. There are others out there that say that they are Tor, but they are fake. He is the real Tor, and that's the first
The real,
real Tor.
and then he has his face carved on a bus bench, like whatever
He's the scene
in the
opens with him
caveman times.
carving his face onto a stone bench. That's it. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it.
Uh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's
that's a good
the.
map. You can have fun mapping that one.
So, what classes are you teaching now? Can I sign up for a sketch class? What are you teaching now, and where can we get more of you?
Yeah, I'm teaching all online at Voodoo Comedy, which is my theater in Denver.
Hmm.
And they're all online, so obviously that's for anyone. I have a sketch class starting next week. I think they're on Wednesday and Sunday. There's two options. Um, and then, so I'll be doing that. And then I have a level 2 sketch coming out soon for people that took the level 1. But
Awesome.
yeah, those are coming up next week. And I'll, obviously until this online thing goes away, I'll be teaching them regularly, the sketch classes.
Marissa is
Because
in.
I think also those work so much better online.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right. I think that's a good
Hmm?
place to put energy. Marissa's in the booth and she's posting links to all these things. So, and there they are. So yeah,
Oh,
voodoocomedy.com, and we can uh, get more info there. I know I'll be going there because yeah, this is just really something I've been looking for. I want to just be able to. Uh, the goal for me is yeah, create that content, can some good material that I know works,
hmm.
and then present that on stage. Not that I don't love doing improv, but I'd love to know that I'm going to go out and I'm going to do a set that's going to hit and I'm going to
Yeah.
entertain. I really want to have that.
There there is something great about planned stuff. Like, you can also mess around within that as an improviser. If you do a sketch and it's going down and you can feel that energy from the audience, you have nothing to do but improvise your way around it and try to figure out a way to make it work. Like I would be in the middle of a sketch and go, oh, this is tanking. Well, all the gloves are off. Let's see if we could just have some fun. See if it makes the people laugh. And you just change it in the middle of the sketch. Like, like it's just the way it's survival. Like, you're just like, I gotta make sure works. So
Yeah.
that's the great thing about improv into sketch. You have that tool to use. And that's a tool that a lot of people surprisingly didn't have when I was in the Sunday company, is the improv. background.
Yeah, I feel like that's like being a
So
bird that can also tightrope walk. So you're tightrope walking, and then when you lose your balance, like, oh well, I'll just be a bird. Just I'll be fine.
yeah, you figure out, you figure it out. You figure it out. I mean, you do it so much when you start doing it, you start to realize the science of it and the people and what they're, all that kind of stuff. So the reps really help too.
Yeah.
But yeah, planned. I love sketch comedy. I love doing it. I love, these sketches hit. They're going to be fun, and you can just have fun with it.
Yeah. How much do I have to invest in wigs if I want to do sketch? Is it a lot?
Well, most sketch companies nowadays don't really do that, but like
Yeah.
the Groundlings, man, I spend a lot of money on wigs.
Yeah.
Which I still have, and guy wigs are hard to get. So like I would go to this wig shop on Hollywood Boulevard.
You had a
This
wig
is a
guy?
true story, and I would find a woman's longer wig. I had a wig. We had a wig guy, two Korean women that were very sweet, and they would sit me down in a haircut chair. I would show them a picture of what I needed on my phone, and they would give me a haircut of my wig to make it look like what I needed. It was sweet. It was really cool, and they loved it because they loved me coming in and going like, I was like, I need a wig, but I can't find one that looks like this. Can you make me look like this? And they'd pick the longer wig and they would cut it to design it to how I needed it. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And it's a process. It's a thing. You don't have SNL buying the wigs for you, so it is an expensive endeavor too. I will say that.
It's important though. It's important for the craft. We have to do that. What
Yes.
what I wanted to ask you. Oh, so I really want to talk about this uh the stimulus package, the improv stimulus package. I know you were. I don't know how much of a role you played in it because I don't know a whole lot of who was in charge of it. I know that the National Improv Network, which you also helped create or created on your own, I think. But you guys created the National Improv Network, which everyone should go to. If you haven't gone there, sign up, become a part of it, bring your teams to it, your casts, whatever. Everyone should sign up for it because you can sign up underneath a company. You can, if you go to Improv U, if you're a member of Improv U, you can sign up under Improv U as a, if you're a cast member, you can do that. So which is a great feature. Nowhere else can you do that. And I don't know who else would want to create that website. That's a lot of work. But
Nobody.
right, yeah, literally no. So you guys have done an amazing thing, and then you came out with this improv stimulus package, which was
Hmm.
we're offering classes. I donated some classes because I just wanted to be a part of it
Yeah.
any way I could. But um, and that was great. I had the person who bought both of my classes. We did one session already, and we had a great time. And so that's been great. What kind of what drove you to want to do that, and how is that kind of going so far?
Well, we at first we were the National Improv Network, and then we went worldwide, and then decided to be the Improv Network. And so, like, it was born out of Improv Utopia because Improv Utopia was striving to be kind of like the center of like theaters and festivals, and we were a nonprofit that was giving money back to theaters to grow at the time because there was a big boom 10 years ago in like theaters starting, and through camp a lot of people went home to their towns and started theaters, so we would give them money to build their stage or pay their rent to get them started or make sure they got their nonprofit, so we pay for their nonprofit filings. We
Really?
did everything we could. Yeah,
Wow.
so we would just take the money. So but then after a while we're like, well, we need, like, Bill Binder and I founded it and created it. So through camp discussions and through the Torch Theater and Phoenix Improv Festival, we started talking to people from huge theater and like, would you want something like this? And they're like, yes, to promote our festival. Because there was nothing that was like, there was festivals on websites, but they were never updated. You never knew when there was like from 2 years ago, was this happening? So we needed something that was always current automatically. So we didn't have to do a lot of work to like always update it.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill was like, I'm a coder. And I'm like, I can do the business side of things. And so he took care of the site. I sold kind of the idea and did the thing. So that's how the Improv Network was born. And now you can submit to festivals and it's always up to date and all the theaters are listed. You can put your own stuff up there. Individuals can now submit to like festivals for things. workshops, and teachers are now on there, and they can offer their courses. And and I'm still on the board, but I stepped down a couple of years ago just because I got busy with other projects. And here's another thing: it's completely voluntary. Like Bill is still volunteers this time to do it. Laurel and Melanie from Florida, they're
Yeah.
in charge of running the operations now, who I all met through camp.
Nice.
And so Mel and myself and Laurel, kind of like, I pitched them the idea of like, we need to help theaters. That's what the Improv Network is for. Because we would, even with submission money that we get in, mostly goes back to theaters, but we do take a surcharge. But that surcharge is to A, pay for the site, but B, we would again donate that money back to theaters to grow and things. So I was like, well, that's the same thing we're doing. Let's just try to raise money for a stimulus package. And so we ended up helping about, I think, 12, 13 theaters pay their rent for a month.
That's great.
Through your kind donation, obviously, and people like you, and donating your time and things like that. And we see another one down the line. We're going to be working on a second one in the fall to try to, because we think this is obviously going to be a longer situation. So everything we can do. One more month means a lot to some people. So just trying to do that. And the Improv Network is a nonprofit as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And I'm like, I was just happy when I saw the names on the list. I was like, what? Like, just huge names. I felt like I was real small fry in a very big fry pond. But yeah,
The
just
great
great.
thing about the Improv Network, the great thing about the improv community is I think there's I feel like there's no big fish. Everybody's just as good, and everybody's on the same level. So when I ask like a Dave Rosowski or Craig, they're always like, yeah, let's do it. They know, they get it. That's why they're so successful,
Yeah, that's
because
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, not to get no, but like for me, it's not. I feel this way. So nothing in my life really ever like hooked me, like improv hooked me. But when I say that, like, um, you know, Dave Rosowski, even the local people down here, there's local improvisers down here. I mean, they're celebrities to me. They're they're my
Yeah.
friends. I'm like, you are amazing performers, like amazing performers, like people. I just never thought I'd ever have a connection with people on that level till I joined improv. I didn't know that kind of connection was possible. And here we are, like doing this. So
Yeah.
like Dave Rosowski and like all these people, they're all so nice. And I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Uh, it was TJ Jagodowski was like, when you are at the top of this game, everyone's super nice because you can't be really good at improv and be a jerk. You have to be really nice in order to be at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. You would get kicked out. Those people that are jerks get flushed out pretty fast because
Yeah,
they realize this is not their game. They can't get what they want out of that.
yeah,
But that's true. If you think about some of the best in our business, they are the nicest people you'll ever meet. And
yeah,
that's why they are. And that's a great industry to be in, because I've been in the corporate world and that isn't necessarily the case. Usually the CEOs are the meanest people.
yeah.
Not,
Little lords running around their
yeah.
fiefdoms.
So, it's nice to be in an industry where people care. And, being in a bar with like Neil Flynn and like some of these celebrities
Yeah,
when I was at IO, and they're like, hey, you want a drink? You're like, I'm going to drink a drink with you. Great. And because they don't want to be, so they're just like hanging out at their improv club.
yeah,
They're from us. They just got lucky and they worked hard and they made money doing it, but they're no different, and I always thought that was such a cool thing to pass down to generation, to be like, hey, I'm not a celebrity. I'm your friend. Here's a drink,
yeah.
and I still try to hold that philosophy, always take time to talk to a student, always take time because if I'm not doing that, then I shouldn't be running a theater or a
Right, and
place.
it doesn't benefit us to create a cult of personality. I don't think that benefits, because you don't ever want a student to be just like you. You want them to be just like them, and to
Yep.
play like you would be a disservice to them.
Hmm.
I got to meet David Keckner because I
Hmm.
got to meet a bunch of the Beer Shark Mice guys in Chicago they were doing they all took turns kind of training us, this big group, and I remember running into him outside of the class, and I just said to him, I was like, hey, this is a great class. I really appreciated what you said about. He said something I'll never forget that it was always so great. He's like, play play sticky was just as an example. He's like, you can play adjectives. You can play like you want to play as a sticky person. Play sticky. Play slick. Play. I thought that was such a neat thing. So I just commented that to him. He turned to me. I thought he was just going to be like, yeah, great, thanks. He turned to me and genuinely just nerded out about improv at me, and I was like, oh, you're just an improviser. You're an improviser. You're just nerd. We're just nerding out about improv. So it was cool.
Keckner's the best, man. Like that guy loves to talk improv. And like I knew those Beer Shark Mice guys from IO, and like he came to my house and did a podcast, which I haven't released yet. I'm going to soon.
Ooh.
It's one that I had to abandon because I got so busy, but I have a backlog of them. But like he's on one of them, and he was at my house, and then afterwards he's like, "What kind of house is this?" And he just went around and looked at because mind if I look in your bathroom? Let's talk tile. And like he was just talking about my house and how much he loved it and how much like he loves these. And he goes, "You should do this. This be awesome." I was like, "Sit down. Let's talk about what you can do to this house." Like it was just like it sounds like, Dave, don't you have to go film something?
Don't you have to be amazing on The Office or something? What are you doing?
But he's super sweet. Those are those guys, man. Those
Yeah.
guys are all sweet. Even at the top, you talk about Will Ferrell's and those like bigger. Those people are all super nice, man. All super.
Paul
cool.
Valancourt's going to be the guest next week. Yeah.
Paul. He was my level 1 teacher at IO. That guy is something else.
He's amazing.
Super nice, and he's the one that really gave me the passion. He gave me the passion for teaching. Because his passion for because the way he taught was so powerful and so energetic and so in love with improv that you could not. It had to rub off on you.
Yeah.
So I'll always remember that about his level 1 class at IO.
It's going to be him and Black Improv Alliance. I'm really excited. They actually don't know that they're going to be co-guesting with him. They don't know that, but I'm really excited because they hustle so hard. Such a great team.
Yeah.
But Paul, I got his book, and he started posting on we have Improv U community page. And, you can post in there if you have, like, any news or any updates, whatever. He's always posting his YouTube channel, his YouTube videos. They're always so good. They're short, compact little nuggets of useful improv information that I constantly try and shove down my students' throats because I'm like, you have to watch these videos. No one else is putting the time and effort into this kind of content. Amazing. So great. But I posted under a different forum, these are the books, the improv books that I like. And I posted his book, and he commented underneath. He's like, "Oh, thanks very much." It was the first time I had really interacted with him in person that way. And you're right. Everyone's just super down to earth, just doing the thing. But my friends write books. I read my friends' books. I take notes. It's a weird thing.
It is interesting. It's an interesting thing. And then I know like Rosowski's working on a book right now, and like interested to see what that is, and like what an accomplishment and what a cool thing.
He was very influential for me. I was going to leave. I was going to quit improv. I was really I was a really cocky, not super cocky, but I was just kind of like, I got improv figured out. I was real jokey, bulletproof, Teflon improviser. And then I took his workshops, and I was like, oh, like improv is miles deep. Like it's insanely deep, and it'll never stop being interesting. When he showed me what it could be, I was like, wow. Yeah,
he takes it on a very deep level, like more than anybody I think I know. Just watching him and observing him through my camps and through being here in LA with him, man. Yeah, that guy goes deep.
I got to Viewpoints, and I was like, okay, this is a little too deep for me. I tried to read Viewpoints. I did.
Viewpoints is tough, and that's not one that I click to.
That makes me feel good to hear you say it was tough. That helps.
I mean, it does. I get it, and I do it, but I don't really train it, or I don't. It's not my like style necessarily to lean into that. But for some people, it's very easy and it's very like thing to follow. It just goes to show like everybody's different. Like everybody has their improv strength, and again, like Viewpoints works for people. Point of view, character in this. It's like you lean, and it doesn't mean I don't do that work or I don't.
Sure.
You won't see that stuff. It's just something I don't necessarily teach. I leave that to the people that love to teach that, which is, Rosowski.
Yeah, yeah. and he does such a good job. Yeah, it's just great to learn from all these different people, and I'm so fortunate to do that. But I want to do more of it. Like I'm at that point now where I want to start getting out there and learning again, and finding those other teachers, and just keep learning. So
Yeah, I always tell people, like, even if we're, you know, people have been doing improv for, I've been doing it for over 20 years now. And I worked in the dental field. Worked at 1-800 Dentist as a marketing manager for a while in my 20s and early 30s. And like, they always had to go take classes to keep their license. What's the newest thing? What's
yeah,
happening? And it's evolving, and improv is evolving, whether you like it or not. And you have to be up on that. There's definitely always fundamentals and foundation that will always get us, that will always be the case. But you should always have to go, even if it's a teacher that's younger than you, or, I go to festivals and I'm like, oh my God, TJ's teaching. I haven't taken TJ before.
TJ Mannix.
TJ Jagodowski.
Oh, TJ Jagodowski. Yeah, yeah.
Like something like that. I'll be like, yeah, I want to take his class for two reasons. One, I'm going to see how he teaches and how he says things, because I could use that. And two, I want to learn from TJ and see his style and his method and all that stuff. And see if there's anything I can use. And let me tell you something. I took it and there was a lot I could use.
So,
I've taken people that are younger than me that I may have taught, but I want to hear what they have to say now through their perspective of coming up, just to hear what's going on.
That's a great point. And we only have about 3 minutes left. So I want to close on just so you know, I have to put time limits on things, or else, what are we doing?
It goes forever, yeah.
But I got to take a workshop with TJ and Dave, thanks to Jeff Quintana. I put together this great workshop. TJ and Dave came down, and I'll never forget, Dave Pasquizzi, he stopped the scene, and rather than give me a note from, like, in the back, he walked right up to me, and he whispered it in my ear. And I don't know what it is, but, like, that for me was like, oh, that solves a whole bunch of problems. Like, that, it felt better that it wasn't out to everybody. It wasn't even anything like, I wasn't doing anything like insanely wrong or anything. It was just, the note was something like, just kind of do less, just really be more natural, I think was kind of what he was saying. But he just
that sounds like a Dave note.
Yeah, just kind of, just do it. But
that's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, so now I'm like, yeah, I don't think I've ever used it, I'm not gonna lie, but I go, I gotta remember to do that. But I haven't run into a situation where the note, maybe I have, I don't know, I haven't done it, but when it happened to me, I was like, I gotta do that. That's a great.
I've definitely found myself in situations where, like, it was either maybe something personal or something that might embarrass them, that I've gone up and go, hey, just do this, like, calm down, or something. Like, I've definitely, like, if it's more like that, I've definitely seen myself do it, but I don't do it often.
Yeah. It was a room full of like 90 people, and it was like,
oh wow,
my friends, peers, students, it was everybody in the room, and it was 4 different improv communities, all of like all of South Florida was in that room, and so it was real nice for him to whisper the note in my ear. It was nice, but
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. So before we go, anything else that you want to promote? You want to get out to everybody?
Check out our online classes at Voodoo Comedy right now. We have master classes going on with like Craig Kikowski. We had Jamie Moyer. We have Patrick Rowland, Holly Laurent from The Reckoning. There's a bunch of great friends of mine doing classes right now. And because they all have the free time. So I took advantage of the free time, and they need to make a couple bucks just like everybody. And I think it's a great opportunity for people to take master teachers from their living room or their office and do it. So check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen DeWall.
And Improv Utopia is canceled. Our camps are canceled this year, but we'll be back next year.
Okay, so people can go to Improv Utopia. What's the
.com?
Yeah. .com, improvutopia.com if you want to at least register, get yourself on their mailing list, get signed up for that. If you like camps. For me, camp, you and I had very different camp experiences growing up. So I tried to do...
well, you did a ship.
We did the cruise ship.
You did the ships.
We did
the cruise ship.
Yeah.
You know how many... Anthony, this is so funny. Maybe we talked about this before. I know we got to go.
That's all right.
But everybody always asks me, you should do a cruise ship. And I say, no, Anthony's doing that. You should do it with him.
I mean, improvcruise.com is available. I own it, and if you'd like it, I'll sell it to you real cheap. No, so just improv cruises in short are the margins are super thin. You're not even really. It's like renting a room at a community center, but on water, and
Yeah,
it's a it's interesting. We had a great time though. We really did. We had a great time. I don't know if
good.
we'll because of all these things. We actually were thinking about bringing it back. We were
Uh-huh.
this close to bringing it back, and then obviously things changed.
Obviously, this. Yeah.
But I'd love to talk to you more about that because
Hmm.
it was actually started as a not a bet. It was kind of me being a snarky husband. Marissa, my wife, I was like, I gotta, because this was like a couple of years ago. I was like, I gotta train. I gotta go somewhere and I gotta train. I gotta go to a retreat. I gotta do something. She's like, well, I want to go on a cruise, and I was like, well, if you can get me my improv retreat on a cruise ship, then we'll do it, right? Totally joking around. 3 weeks later, she came in my room and she just dropped a manila folder in front of me. And I was like, what is this? She's like, it's an improv cruise. I was like, what are you talking about? Just open it up. It was everything. She did the whole thing.
That's
So
awesome.
I can't take credit for it, but she won. Yes, you did win. She's texting in the thing. Um, so cool. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for chatting with me. And thank you everybody for watching. Yeah, man, this is great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really good to connect.
All right, don't go away. But everyone else,
Okay.
thank you so much for